Hi students, welcome to another week of social problems. This is going to be a continuation of, at the beginning of this week, it's going to be a continuation of review of basic sociological concepts because you have to have these at the forefront of your mind in order to be able to draw the kinds of conclusions and analyze the kinds of complex issues that we're going to address as we move past this first chapter into the meat of the course content. Now, one of the things that you'll review in reading the first chapter of the textbook, this is toward the end of the first chapter, is the sociological imagination. And you should recall from your sociology class that imagination, this word in this case, when you put the adjective sociological in front of it, has nothing to do with make-believe. Instead, it has to do with cognitive ability. So cognition means how do you think? And so you're supposed to, over the course of taking a sociology class, intro to sociology class, you're supposed to develop the ability to make educated connections, educated conclusions, informed conclusions that link the conclusion itself links information from macro scale structure, social structure in society, social facts level, social structure level, social institutions level, macro scale level in society to micro scale life experience. And so I have a truncated kind of definition of the sociological imagination on the board behind me that uses some of those terms that I just mentioned. By the way, I just said the word truncated, and that might be a new word to your ears. You are in an advanced or a more advanced college level course than you've had before, and perhaps you've heard words like truncated before. Great, and perhaps you know what it means already. But I want to pause really quick and talk about, these words that maybe I'm introducing you to, some college level words that you haven't encountered before. And that word that I used, truncated, to truncate something means to shorten it. To truncate something means to stop it before it's done sometimes. So when you hear me say a word that is new to your ears, pause the video and ask Siri what it means so that you can expand your vocabulary, your basic college level vocabulary, so that when you're reading college level books and when you are studying other subjects in college and you encounter these words, you'll know what they mean. So I'm going to do that often, using words that perhaps challenge your core vocabulary knowledge, but I'm supposed to do that because you're at the college level. So please make sure that you don't let me get away with using it without you knowing what the heck it means, because you won't understand the perspective that I'm trying to put in front of you if you just skim over it and, don't look it up or find out what it means. Okay, so the words getting back to sociology now, the words on the board behind me are a truncated definition. It's not a complete sentence, but these are the concepts that you would need to include in a thorough and correct explanation of the sociological imagination. You cannot say it's understanding what it's like to be in somebody else's shoes. No, that's not what it means. It is an informed connection between macro scale parts of the social structure and micro scale aspects of daily life. For instance, debt. Debt is an experience that a lot of us go through in life. A lot of times, college, what you're doing right now, what you are paying for, either with a scholarship, God bless you for that, I hope you can keep it with your GPA high enough. Either a scholarship or maybe a family member is paying for it for you, but a lot of us, you're looking at one of them right here, had to go through student loans and Pell Grants and things like that, work study positions, in order to have enough money to make it through college. And when I graduated from college, I was in debt. I was in a lot of debt. I had to start paying it back. And so I I wasn't able to realize social uplift, economic uplift, like a college degree is supposed to give you. I wasn't able to experience that right away because I had so much debt to pay back, because I did think of it as doing your college career on credit. That's what happened with me. And so debt is a social problem that a lot of people focus on as something that we need to fix. And especially when something like school, that is such an integral part of getting the appropriate, here's my air quotes, the appropriate or desirable job with promotion potential and income potential that we desire. If education is such an integral part of that, and we have to pay for our education over the 12th grade, then a lot of people cite educational debt as a social problem. So, recently, in current events, there have been announcements by the current presidential administration that there would be a forgiveness of student loan debt up to a certain point or back to a certain date, something like that. Certainly during the shutdowns during the pandemic, there was a moratorium, which is a stop. Look up moratorium also if you don't know it. There was a moratorium on evictions because people might not be able to afford rent, and also student loan payments. They deferred student loan payments until further legal action said, okay, it's time to start paying them back again. So there is a push right now that is being spearheaded by a certain portion of the population who looks at debt on the macro scale, looks at the job requirements across the board in our economy, looks at the connection between higher education and job attainment, desirable job attainment, that is. And on the macro scale, these pressures and characteristics are part of our education system, our economic system, social life in general. So on the micro scale, a lot of people encounter just oppressive debt in their lives that isn't from, worthless spending, like, charging stuff on a credit card and being, $70,000 in credit card debt. That would be a very different thing than $70,000 in education debt. And a lot of people are $70,000 or more in education debt when they graduate. And that's hard to dig yourself out of, especially when education was supposed to enable you to dig yourself out of that to begin with. And so the sociological imagination skill, it's a skill. You have to practice and develop the ability to see the connections between macro scale trends, like you must have a college degree in order to get a job that you desire. It's called credentialism. It wasn't always that way in our society. We didn't always have higher education as an industry that pulled money out of people, but it is now. And the job qualifications have kind of risen to match it. Some jobs that used to only take a bachelor's degree now take a master's, or used to only take an associate's. Now, in order to get any kind of recognition or social uplift, you have to have a bachelor's instead of the associate's. So you can see over time a gradual change in educational attainment requirements in the USA population, especially since World War II. So over that time, since the end of World War II to now, jobs that used to only take a high school diploma now require bachelor's degrees, but the pay hasn't gone up in relationship to the qualifications going up. And so there's a whole bunch of inequality there that a lot of people perceive as a social problem that contributes to unnecessary debt, and we need to fix it. One proposal recently to fix it was to forgive student loan debt. It has not happened yet. It might not happen. I think there's going to have to be some significant legal changes at the federal level in order for it to be able to pass through the court system. That's our checks and balances. One branch of government does not have the authority or the ability to just, make an edict and post it at the town hall and everybody has to follow it immediately. We have checks and balances in place in our government to make sure that kind of dictatorship doesn't happen. So anyway, The sociological imagination, there is a small section in chapter 1 that you need to review. If you have your sociology notes from way back when, please open that up, or if you still have access to your ebook, please open that up and read the section in the chapter 1 in the old sociology book about the sociological imagination, because it is a skill that you have to practice. It's an ability that you have to develop. It's not simply something that a kindergarten teacher asks her students or his students to make believe that they are Cookie Monster or something. That has nothing to do with this highly educated skill called the sociological imagination that is necessary for you to think properly and come to conclusions that command respect from others, because you have sound cognition, sound thinking, and reasoning skills because you've practiced. You've practiced. You were born with the ability, but you have to practice to make it, to manifest it, okay? So in the next few videos this week, we're going to look at, we're going to review, again, some theories, but we're going to introduce new material now. We're going to talk about functionalism, conflict theory, and also symbolic interactionism, and look at some kind of bullet points under them that are ways of examining social problems specifically, using those master theories, those points of view as the starting point. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye.